Hello, thank you for coming today.
Hi.
I am Jordan's fourth grade reading and writing instructor.
Okay.
And before we begin, I just want to say how amazing Jordan is. It's a pleasure for him to be in the class. It really is. He's one of the
Thank you.
few students who shows up ready to work for the day. So he's great. So before we begin, I would just like to talk about some certain areas that have assessed Jordan over the past couple months in school. So there are 5 major components of reading. The first component is called phonemic awareness, which is understanding how individual sounds and words sound, and then being able to manipulate those sounds. The second area is phonics, which is the understanding of the individual sounds in a word. The third one is fluency, which is the rate or speed at which Jordan reads and the expressive tone that he uses. The fourth area is vocabulary, which is understanding the definition of words and then using them in an appropriate context. And finally, comprehension, which is understanding what he just read, and that's being able to answer implicit and explicit questions, things like that. So before we begin, I like to identify 3 areas of strength that I've noticed in Jordan. The first area is his expressive reading, which is, reading with inflection in his voice, which is extremely important. And whenever he reads or shares his stories out loud, he uses an appropriate tone and he raises and lowers his voice appropriately, which is great.
Okay.
The second strength of Jordan is his expressive writing. He uses lots of describing words in his journal and during free writing, and he uses lots of adjectives. Finally, the third area of strength I've noticed in Jordan is his vocabulary and his ability to use descriptive words and also using words in the appropriate context of the story. So if you want to help Jordan improve in these areas, I have a few suggestions.
Definitely.
So to help Jordan with his expressive reading, I would probably, if you have a chance, read aloud to him at home to help him model how he should sound while he's reading. To help him with his expressive writing, I would encourage him to keep a journal so that he can write his thoughts or just write about or describe what happened at the day or at school, during the day, after school, things like that.
Okay.
If you want to help Jordan with his vocabulary, I would suggest every day give him a new word that he might not know, or even to go further than that, have him look up in the thesaurus synonyms for that word, and that will definitely help him increase his vocabulary. So I would like to explain 3 particular areas that I've seen Jordan struggle with that I would like to see him grow in. The first area is, the first 2 kind of blend together. The first one is his short vowel sounds, and the second is his long vowel sounds. He has trouble distinguishing between the 2 because both of them have very distinct sounds. So an example of a short vowel sound would be the A in apple. An example of a long vowel sound would be the A in ape. And if you'll notice, the A in apple doesn't drag on as much as the A in ape.
Okay.
So that's kind of the difference. The difference is just kind of how the sound drags on. And the third and final area that I've noticed in Jordan that I would like to see him grow is his explicit questions. And by that I mean, being able to go back into a text and answer a question based on what's written in the book.
Okay.
Typically when I ask him questions, he'll either just kind of sit there and stare off and, think about the answer, and I really would like to encourage him to look back into the reading to find the answer. So, if you want to help him, so some strategies that I've done in the classroom to help him in those 3 areas. As far as short and long vowels, I have him do word family activities, which is identifying patterns in words and then combining them into groups based on those patterns. And to help him with his explicit questioning, I'll have him read shorter passages so that he can either remember a lot more quickly the answer, or he can go back and quickly find the answer in a shorter passage as opposed to a longer book. Some strategies that you could do at home with Jordan to help him improve in his short vowels, his long vowels, and his comprehension or his explicit questioning I would probably do. I would have words. I mean, a list of words. Give him a list of words along with pictures, so that you can identify the words with the context of the pictures, and then sound those words out, so to help him model to understand how those words are supposed to sound. If you want to help him in his comprehension, which would be explicit questioning, you could read to him at home, but I would read shorter passages to him, no longer than 1 or 2 paragraphs, so that he's able to recall the information a lot quicker. So now that we've talked about his strengths and his weaknesses, I would like to ask you a few questions.
Okay.
So my first question is, does Jordan read at home at all?
He reads a little bit every night. I think our library at home is very limited, and that's putting a strain on him. Do you have any ideas for where I could get more books for him easily?
Well, I've noticed that he doesn't take home very many books, so I would encourage him to check out some books from the library, and that'll definitely help increase his library. Do you know what his favorite book is?
I know that he loves the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series.
Okay.
He really loves those.
Great.
That series. I mean, do you have any resources where I could find different types of books to get Jordan to read?
My suggestion would be, just off the top of my head, I would suggest going to readworks.org.
Readworks?
Readworks.org, they have a great selection of short passages that he can read that might keep his interest, as opposed to a chapter book.
Okay.
Which genre of books does Jordan seem to prefer?
Well, he definitely loves fiction, the make-believe, pretend things,
Sure.
Imaginary worlds. I mean, I would like to get him to start reading more appropriate books.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, what types of books should I have him reading?
I would suggest going to the website lexile.com.
Okay.
And the passages that you'll find at the readworks.org website will have what's called a Lexile number. And that Lexile number is a number assigned to the student. And that number determines the grade level and the student's interest in reading. I've measured Jordan at between 500 to about 800 Lexile measure.
Okay.
So when you find passages on readworks.org, you'll see like a number with the letter L next to it, and that's the Lexile measure. So anything between 600 to 800, I feel would be more appropriate for Jordan.
Okay.
Do you have any more questions?
I think that covers everything.
Great, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.